The final signal Captain Marcus Thorne gripped the transmission console as his flagship. Defiance shuddered under another Zarn plasma barrage. Around him, the bridge crew worked with desperate efficiency, their faces illuminated by the crimson glow of emergency lighting. The last bastion of human resistance was crumbling. "Sir, the outer defense grid is gone," reported Lieutenant Kayla Voss, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Zarn dreadnoughts are breaking through the Proxima line." Thorne's jaw tightened. 300 years of human expansion, countless colonies, billions of lives all falling to the bioengineered nightmare that was the Zarn Dominion. Their adaptive vessels consumed human technology, turning Earth's own weapons against them. Every victory only made the enemy stronger. "Communications, patch me through to command," Thorne ordered. The holographic form of General Harrison Pike materialized, his weathered face grim. Behind him, the United Earth Command Center buzzed with frantic activity. Marcus, we're out of options. The Centauri fleet is gone. New Eden went dark an hour ago. What about the Altarian Alliance? The Rigel Consortium? Pike shook his head. The Zarn broke them first. We're alone. Thorne closed his eyes, feeling the weight of humanity's extinction pressing down on him. Then, a voice from the shadows spoke Dr. Nathaniel Cross, the fleet's xenarchaeologist, a man who'd spent decades studying forbidden histories. "There is one option," Cross said quietly. "The Vorax." The bridge fell silent, except for the distant rumble of weapons fire. Pike's expression turned horrified. "Absolutely not. The Vorax are myths, legends. They're real," Cross insisted, stepping forward. "Sector Black isn't empty. It's quarantined. The Galactic Council offered them membership 2,000 years ago. They refused, choosing exile. Do you know why?" "Because they're monsters," Pike whispered. "Because they refuse to kneel to anyone." Cross pulled up a star chart, highlighting the dark void of Sector Black. "The Zarn fear them. In all their conquests, they've never entered that region. Never even approached it." Another explosion rocked the ship. Voss called out, "Hull breach on deck 7. We've lost main engines." Thorne stared at the chart, at the black emptiness that supposedly housed humanity's greatest nightmare. "What makes you think they'd help us?" Cross smiled grimly. "Because the Vorax don't destroy for conquest or resources. They destroy for the simple pleasure of being challenged. And right now, the Zarn think they're the apex predators of this galaxy." Pike's image flickered as the communication array took damage. "Marcus, don't even consider—" "I'm sorry, General." Thorne severed the connection and turned to his communications officer. "Ensign Torres, prepare a deep space transmission. Quantum encryption, maximum range. Target coordinates, Sector Black." "Sir, that's an order." Thorne's voice carried the finality of a dying species, making its last desperate gamble. "Send the message. The ancient pack deep within Sector Black on the obsidian world of Kithara." Prime, something stirred in the darkness. The Vorax homeworld was a monument to controlled violence crystalline spires that pulsed with bioelectric energy, carved from the bones of conquered worlds. Here, in the heart of their empire, War Master Gorvik the Unbroken received humanity's desperate plea. The message had traveled through quantum space, bypassing normal communication channels. Its encryption was primitive by Vorax standards, yet the desperation behind it resonated through the ancient neural networks that connected every member of their species. Gorvik stood nearly 12 feet tall, his exoskeleton a fusion of evolved bone and bioengineered metal. 4 arms ended in claws that could tear through starship hulls, while his elongated skull housed a brain capable of calculating stellar destruction patterns. Scars covered his body, each one a trophy from battles that had shaped the galaxies. "Orders, War Master," hissed Singer Vecht, his second in command. "The humans call to us. They offer alliance against the Zarn." Gorvik's mandibles clicked in amusement. Around them, the war chamber thrummed with ancient power. Holographic displays showed the Zarn Dominion's expansion, their bioadaptive fleet's consuming system after. System with methodical precision. Alliance, Gorvik rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. They speak as if they have something we need. They offer coordinates, target lists. Intelligence on Zarn fleet positions. Pittance. Gorvik studied the tactical displays, watching red markers advance through human space. Yet ... interesting. Tell me, Vect, when did the galaxy last challenge us? When did any species dare to awaken the sleeping gods of war? Vect's own scars gleamed in the chamber's ethereal light. Not since the Hegemony Wars, 3 millennia past, the galaxy has grown ... soft. Precisely. Gorvik's claws traced patterns in the air, calling up deeper intelligence reports. The Zarn believe themselves apex predators. They adapt, they consume, they grow stronger with each victory. They have forgotten that evolution requires pressure, and we are that pressure. The chamber's neural networks pulsed, carrying the discussion to the other war masters scattered across the Vorax territories. Responses came back instantly: hunger, anticipation, the collective desire for worthy prey. But why answer the humans? Vect pressed. They are weak, broken. They offer nothing we cannot take. Gorvik's laugh was like the sound of colliding asteroids. They offer us legitimacy, my old friend. For 3,000 years, we have been the galaxy's boogeymen, the monsters in the dark that civilized species whisper about. They fear us so completely that none dare challenge us anymore. He gestured to the hologram showing the Zarn advance. But these humans ... they called us. In their final hour, facing extinction, they chose to wake us rather than die quietly. They understand what we are, and they chose us anyway. You mean to accept their alliance? I mean to test it. Gorvik's eyes gleamed with predatory intelligence. Open a channel to their flagship. Let us see if these humans truly understand the price of calling the Vorax to war. First contact, the Bridge of the Defiance, had fallen eerily quiet after transmitting the message to Sector Black. Captain Thorne stood before the main view screen, watching the Zarn fleet close the distance like a swarm of metallic locusts. His ship was dying around him, life support failing, weapons systems offline, hull breaches sealed with emergency foam that wouldn't hold much longer. "Sir?" Ensign Torres called out, her voice cracking with exhaustion. "We're receiving a response from ... from Sector Black." Dr. Cross moved closer to the communication station, his weathered hands trembling with anticipation. "Put it through." The view screen flickered, then filled with an image that made every human on the bridge take an involuntary step backward. War Master Gorvik's visage dominated the display. 12 feet of predatory evolution, his forearms spread wide in what might have been greeting or threat preparation. "You are weak," the alien voice rumbled through the ship's speakers, each word carefully enunciated in perfect, archaic English. "Broken, but you called us." Lieutenant Voss whispered a prayer under her breath. Even through the transmission, she could feel the raw power emanating from the creature intelligence, married to violence in a way that defied human understanding. Thorne forced himself to step forward, meeting the alien's burning gaze. "I am Captain Marcus Thorne of the United Earth Defense Force. Our species faces extinction. The Zarn Dominion has broken through our defenses. We're prepared to offer any price for your assistance." Gorvik's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Any price, little human? Do you understand what you offer? Your species has spent centuries building walls against the darkness. Now you invite that darkness in." "We understand the risks," Cross interjected, drawing the War Master's attention. "I've studied your people, War Master. The Council Wars, the Hegemony Purges, the glass fields of Zarian Prime. I know what you're capable of. Do you? Gorvik leaned forward, his image looming larger on the screen. Tell me, Dr. Cross, yes. I know your name. Your work when the Zarn are dead, and their fleets scattered like cosmic dust. What then? When we hunger for new challenges, new prey, will you still welcome our alliance? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Around them, the ship shuddered as another Zarn energy lance struck home. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the lights flickered ominously. We'll face that when it comes, Thorne said firmly. Right now, extinction is certain without your help. At least with you, humanity has a chance to survive. Survival, Gorvik mused. Yes, that is the first law, isn't it? Very well, Captain Thorne. You wish to make a pact with devils? Then prove you understand the terms. The War Master's image shifted, showing tactical displays of the Zarn advance. You will provide us with complete intelligence on Zarn fleet dispositions, technological capabilities, and defensive strategies. In return, we will eliminate the Zarn Dominion. And after? Voss asked, her training overriding her fear. Gorvik's laugh was like breaking glass. After, young warrior, you will discover whether humanity truly deserves to share this galaxy with its apex predators. But first, double quotes. His expression grew serious, almost respectful. Tell us, who do you want to die? Thorne looked around his dying. Bridge, at the faces of his crew, at the tactical display showing the inexorable Zarn advance. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of every human death, every burned world, every extinguished hope, all of them. The unleashing 3 hours. After the pact was sealed, reality itself seemed to convulse. The first sign wasn't visible, it was a feeling, a wrongness that settled in the bones of every living thing within 100 light years. Space-time rippled as something vast moved through dimensions that shouldn't exist. Commander Zix-9, High, Admiral of the Zarn 7th Fleet, felt it first as a discordant note in his bio-neural interface. His ship, the consuming Maw, had been the spearhead of Zarn expansion for over a century. Its living hull pulsed with absorbed technologies from a dozen conquered civilizations, each victory making it stronger, more adaptive. Admiral, chittered his sensor symbiont, a creature fused to his nervous system that processed tactical data, anomalous readings from Sector Black, energy signatures unlike anything in our databases. Zix-9's compound eyes focused on the holographic display. For 300 years, his species had expanded unopposed, their bioadaptive technology making them virtually unstoppable. They consumed their enemies' strengths, evolved countermeasures in real time, turned every battle into an opportunity for improvement. Explain, he commanded, his voice a harmony of vocal cords and synthetic harmonics. Unknown vessels approaching, at impossible velocities. They're not using conventional faster-than-light travel. It's as if they're folding space around themselves. The first Varric ship materialized, without fanfare 1 moment empty space. The next a kilometer-long predator of crystalline bone and living metal. Then another. Then dozens. The Vorax fleet didn't announce itself with energy signatures or communication attempts. It simply existed, suddenly and terrifyingly present. Zix-9 had never felt fear. His species had evolved beyond such primitive emotions, replacing them with cold tactical efficiency. But as he watched the alien vessels arrange themselves in formations that seemed to mock conventional warfare, something deep in his genetic memory whispered warnings. Open communications, he ordered. Demand identification and the lead. Vorak's ship moved, not toward the Zarn fleet, but through them. Where it passed, Zarn vessels simply ended, not destroyed, not torn apart, but ceased to exist as if reality had forgotten they were ever there. Impossible, Zix-9 breathed. Our adaptive shields, our bioreactive hull plating, Admiral. The sensor symbionts' panic bled through their neural link. The ship that just passed through us, it didn't fire weapons. It didn't need to. It's using some form of matter disintegration field. Our adaptations can't counter something that targets atomic bonds themselves. On the view screen, more Zarn ships winked out of existence. The aliens moved with casual precision, their vessels dancing between energy beams and missile barrages, as if the Zarn fleet's desperate attacks were merely an interesting light show. Then the real horror began. The Varaks weren't just destroying the Zarn fleet, they were studying it. Sensor beams, invisible to most species, but clearly visible to Zarn bio-optics, swept over every vessel. The aliens were learning, cataloging, understanding everything about their enemy in real time. They're not trying to defeat us, Zix-9 realized with growing dread. They're preparing to hunt us. A new voice echoed across all Zarn communication channels. Ancient, amused, utterly without mercy. War Master Gorvik's words reached every Zarn commander simultaneously, bypassing their security protocols as if they didn't exist. Greetings, Zarn Dominion. We are the Varaks. You have been playing at being predators in our galaxy for far too long. Time to show you what real predators look like. The transmission ended, but the slaughter continued. Zarn bioships that had conquered star systems fell like wheat before the scythe. Their adaptive technology, their evolutionary advantages, their perfect tactical coordination, none of it mattered against beings who had refined warfare into an art form over millennia. In the space of 30 minutes, the Zarn 7th Fleet 300 vessels strong ceased to exist. Not a single Varak ship showed damage. They hadn't even needed to try. As the last Zarn vessel dissolved into constituent atoms, Gorvik's ship turned toward the next system on the Zarn expansion route. The hunt had begun. We understand the risks, Cross interjected, drawing the War Master's attention. I've studied. Your people, War Master. The Council Wars, the hegemony purges, the glass fields of Zarian Prime. I know what you're capable of. Do you? Gorvik leaned forward, his image looming larger on the screen. Tell me, Dr. Cross, yes, I know your name. Your work when the Zarn are dead, and their fleets scattered like cosmic dust. What then? When we hunger for new challenges, new prey, will you still welcome our alliance? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Around them, the ship shuddered as another Zarn energy lance struck home. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the lights flickered ominously. We'll face that when it comes, Thorn said firmly. Right now, extinction is certain without your help. At least with you, humanity has a chance to survive. Survival, Gorvik mused. Yes, that is the first. Law, isn't it? Very well, Captain Thorn. You wish to make a pact with devils? Then prove you understand the terms. The War Master's image shifted, showing tactical displays of the Zarn advance. You will provide us with complete intelligence on Zarn fleet, dispositions, technological capabilities, and defensive strategies. In return, we will eliminate the Zarn Dominion. And after? Voss asked, her training overriding her fear. Gorvik's laugh was like breaking glass. After, young warrior, you will discover whether humanity truly deserves to share this galaxy with its apex predators. But first, double quotes, his expression grew serious, almost respectful. Tell us, who do you want to die? Thorn looked around his dying. Bridge, at the faces of his crew, at the tactical display showing the inexorable Zarn advance. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of every human death, every burned world, every extinguished hope. All of them. The price of Devil 6 months later, the galaxy was silent. Not the silence of peace, but the terrible quiet that follows absolute victory. The Zarn Dominion 3 centuries of unstoppable expansion, billions of bioengineered warriors, fleets, that had consumed the technologies of 100 species, existed now only as scattered atoms drifting through space. Captain Marcus Thorne stood in the observation deck of New Haven Station, humanity's hastily constructed diplomatic outpost in neutral space. Through the reinforced transparisteel, he watched Vorax patrol ships glide past with predatory grace. Each vessel was a work of art, deadly, beautiful, and utterly alien. "They kept their word," said Dr. Cross, joining him at the viewport. The Zen archaeologist looked aged beyond his years, the weight of what they'd unleashed etched deep in the lines of his face. Every Zarn world cleansed, every bioship destroyed. Not a single member of their species survived. Down to the last larva, Thorne confirmed grimly. War Master Gorvik was thorough. The Vorax hadn't simply defeated the Zarn. They had erased them from existence with clinical precision. Worlds that had been Zarn breeding centers were now pristine ecosystems, the alien structures dissolved down to their component atoms. It had been artistry in destruction, beautiful and terrifying in its completeness. "Sir," Lieutenant Voss approached, now wearing the insignia of a full commander. She carried a data pad, her expression troubled. "The Altarian survivors are requesting an emergency council meeting. They're concerned about the Vorax presence in former Zarn space." Thorne almost smiled. The same species that had abandoned humanity to face the Zarn alone were now terrified that their saviors might turn on them next. Fear, it seemed, was the galaxy's new universal constant. "What's our fleet status?" he asked, rebuilt to pre-war. "Levels, sir. The Vorax have been surprisingly generous with recovered Zarn technology. Our ships are now more advanced than they've ever been." "Generous," Cross repeated thoughtfully. "Or strategic. They're making sure we're capable of putting up a fight when the time comes." A new voice interrupted their discussion, familiar, amused, and carrying the weight of ancient authority. "When the time comes for what, Dr. Cross?" They turned to see War Master Gorvik materializing on the station's main holographic projector. Even in digital form, his presence dominated the space. His forearms moved in what might have been a greeting gesture, but his eyes held depths of intelligence that made humans feel like children. "War Master," Thorne inclined his head respectfully. "We were discussing the future arrangement between our species." "Ah, yes, the question that keeps you awake at night." Gorvik's mandibles clicked in that distinctive laugh. "When will the monsters you invited into your galaxy turn on you? When will we decide that humanity has served its purpose?" The honesty was brutal and completely expected. Thorne had spent months learning that the Vorax valued directness above all else. They found deception boring another sign of weakness in species that weren't worth their attention. "The thought had occurred to us," Thorne admitted. "Good. Fear keeps species sharp. But you misunderstand our nature, Captain Thorne. We are not conquerors like the Zarn. We are not builders of empires or seekers of territory. We are—" Gorvik paused, seemingly searching for the right human concept. "Gardeners? Gardeners?" Voss couldn't hide her confusion. "The galaxy requires balance. For too long, it has grown soft, complacent. The Zarn were a correction predators to cull the weak, but they became the very thing they were meant to prevent. Stagnant, predictable, boring." Gorvik's image shifted, showing holographic displays of galactic civilization. "Now we have a new balance. The Altarians tremble and grow cautious. The Rigel Consortium invests in defense rather than luxury. The minor species band together for mutual protection. And humans—" His gaze fixed on them with something that might have been approval. "Humans grow stronger." "You're saying you won't attack us?" Cross asked carefully. "We will attack you when you become worthy opponents. When your fleets can challenge ours, when your warriors can match our skill." when your species stops growing and starts stagnating. That is our gift to the galaxy: eternal pressure to evolve, to improve, to never rest in complacency. Thorn felt a chill run down his spine. And if we refuse to play this game? Gorvik's laugh was like distant thunder. Then you become irrelevant. And irrelevant species don't survive long in this galaxy. But I don't think that will happen. Do you know why we answered your call, Captain? Because we offered you a challenge? Because you understood the price and paid it anyway. When faced with extinction, you chose to risk everything rather than die quietly. That is the mark of a species worth preserving. The War Master's image began to fade. Guard that spark well, humans. The galaxy will need it in the centuries to come. The transmission ended, leaving them alone with the weight of their new reality. Outside, the Vorok's patrol ships continued their eternal dance, beautiful and deadly guardians of a balance they had helped create. So, Voss said quietly, we traded one nightmare for another. No, Thorn replied, watching the alien vessels disappear into hyperspace. We traded certain death for a chance to become something greater. Whether we take that chance, that's up to us. In the darkness between stars, humanity's future hung in the balance, not as victims, but as players in a cosmic game where the stakes were evolution itself. The end